going to bring folks back on the stage. You will recognize all the GX presenters you heard from earlier, as well as Don Hepner, Director of Engineering. So yeah, hello, welcome, Don.
Hello.
If you've already asked questions in the chat, we have a bunch of questions queued up. There's been a ton coming in. Thanks, everyone. And if you have a question but didn't ask it, now's the time. Also, I can already tell we've gotten more questions than we're going to have time for, but we are tracking them, and the rest of them we'll do our best to get answered on the blog or in discourse. Okay, so here we go. First question. What's the pricing model for GX Cloud? Renan, you want to take this one?
Absolutely, yeah. So through the public preview event, and before we launch our pricing tier in the next couple of months, the product is free to continue to use and in its full features. We will be working on our pricing model. We want people to engage with us to make sure that we're competitive and it feels like you're getting a ton of value from us. So as you saw the link with the product team, product feedback at greatexpectations.io, please engage there if you have any questions about it. And again, open source is always there and will continue to be a core part of our strategy and will always be free.
And if I can just chime in, if this is a blocker for you, like if you need to understand pricing in order to move forward, please reach out. We'd be happy to talk.
Yeah, good call.
All right, cool. Yeah, stay tuned on that. And another question that came in from Anil. Don, why don't you take this one? Where exactly is the data and where exactly are the data and validations stored?
Yeah, so the data that you bring under test, your data, doesn't leave your premises. So Great Expectations runs and reads the data within your network in order to execute the tests that you've configured through expectation suites. We store the configuration for Great Expectations, the expectation suites and the validation results in our SaaS product. It's secure, encrypted, multi-tenanted solution with row level security. But we're storing the expectation suites and the validation results. But the data is not leaving your network.
Awesome, thanks, Don. Yeah, we get that question a lot, so I think it's great we were able to address that here. Next one up, why is collaboration so important when talking about data quality? Abe, you want to take this?
Yeah, we've had a bit of a thread on this in the comments. And actually, completely answering that question is going to be a long answer because it depends basically on who is working with who, like the different configurations of data teams and their stakeholders. I'll say one of the most common patterns that we see is you have a data analytics or a data engineering team that has most but not all of the knowledge required to keep up to speed with what data quality checks should be. So like I'm thinking of an e-commerce company where they wanted data quality checks to help make sure that their marketing campaigns were being sent out properly, or a logistics company. And in both of those cases, you had people who weren't the coders writing the data pipelines who had critical knowledge about how they should be functioning. And so being able to get that knowledge into the data quality tests was a really important use case for them. Now, like I said, there are a lot of permutations on this, but the notion that knowledge is pretty diffuse and the code lives in one place, that's common to a lot of organizations that we talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm just going to keep chugging along since we have such little time. Here we have this question. They're saying, basically, mistakes happen. Any way to reference a data asset while entering the expectations? Nevin, did you want to take this?
Short answer is yes. If you run our metrics, so you fetch the metrics using GX Cloud, once you've run that and you try to create a new expectations, the column field actually changes from a free text field to a dropdown. And so it knows the columns within your database. If you want to see it in action, you can actually sign up for our workshop. We'll actually be covering this in the workshop. So hopefully you've signed up and you can see it in action there.
All right. Yeah, good plug for the workshops. Those links to that have been posted in chat, and we'll make sure to do that again as well. And Rachel, I have one for you. Would love to know what types of reporting and alerts are available.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So within the GX Cloud UI, we provide visualizations for validation results over history out of the box. If you're looking for something a little more custom, you could also leverage the GX Python API to programmatically retrieve information about your validation results and feed it to your own reporting tool. And similarly, for alerting, you can use the GX Python API to create GX Cloud checkpoints that alert based on validation results. And our currently supported notification integrations are Slack, email, Microsoft Teams, and PagerDuty.
Awesome. Thanks, Rachel. Another question from Liz. Do you suggest using GX in addition to DBT tests in the code base? Abe.
Yeah, also a question we get quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
The short version is, for most people, we think there's a lot of value in using the tools alongside each other. For very small teams, sometimes you'll see teams that just don't want to maintain more than one thing. And if you're committed to DBT, maybe you don't want to bolt great expectations onto that yet. But the things that end up kind of pulling people into a world where they're using both, it's usually around collaboration. So Great Expectations does this really nice thing where you can compile tests into data documentation. And so if you're writing purely DBT tests, anybody who looks at those, anybody who touches them is going to have to be basically a SQL native. And so if you're working across systems and you're pulling in other people, then Great Expectations will be really helpful there. The other thing that often people run into, actually, I'd say two other things. One is Great Expectations, just because testing is the only thing we do, the library is very deep and rich. And so you end up with often having this long tail of other tests that just aren't fully supported in DBT. And then Great Expectations also creates metadata from each run that can be useful. Again, if you're a small team just getting started, maybe you don't need that yet, but it often ends up being really useful to have that history of validation results and be able to see who's changed what, when, and so on.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, we have a lot more questions, but we don't have more time. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. And thank you, everybody, for coming on and answering questions.
Really good questions, by the way. I want to take this list and figure out how we answer the, even if we can't do it in the room here. Really good questions. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I hope, well, I'm going to go back. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not showing the right thing on my screen. Here we go. There we go. I just wanted to share these links one more time as we wrap up. Yeah, really good questions. I'm really excited for us to, dig into those and get back to you with answers. We hope that you've been inspired by this to try out GX Cloud. You can sign up at app.greatexpectations.io. If you are interested in the workshops that Rachel mentioned, we have one coming up on the 27th and a wait list for when we announce additional dates. So if you would like to sign up for that, link in the chat. We'll also email people who attended this after the event with more information. You can see the link on the slide as well. And we've said it a bunch already, but one last time. We really, really want to hear what you think of GX Cloud. So please reach out to us anytime in our discourse or via email at product-feedback@greatexpectations.io. And with that, thank you so much to everyone for joining us. And hope you have a great day.